Hi, welcome to this Invest in Pre-Leased video. This is Raj Shah, and we help you profit from curated property proposals with Invest in Pre-Leased. Welcome, Saurabh.
Hi, Raj. Very good morning to you and all the viewers here.
So, Saurabh, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Great, Raj. So, as you mentioned, I come from 14 years of real estate experience now, passionate about real estate and the new ways of owning and managing the real estate. So that has been the interest ever since. So I have a mixed background, Raj, of hardcore real estate developer, where I was working as a developer for 7 odd years, built multiple projects right from residential, commercial, industrial, institutional. Post that, joined No Broker at a very early stage as a founding member in 2015. 6.5, 7 years I spent at No Broker. Started working to derive revenue subscription plans, then eventually monetizing our services via home store services or the builder channel, which is the primary sales. A management graduate and a lawyer by profession. And the idea of Alyf came while I was at No Broker itself.
Oh, very interesting that you finished your law degree as well. So, Saurabh, could you tell us a little more about your development experience?
Yeah, Raj. There's a group known as KGK. They are globally one of the largest when it comes to diamonds. So they had a lot of land banks in Jaipur. They were looking at someone who can lead that vertical because within a large corporate, that was a startup in itself. So I took over that project or that assignment, started a company known as KGK Realty, built a few of the largest real estate projects in Jaipur, the largest industrial park, the commercial project largest, and one of the biggest hospitality project known as Jal Mahal project, which we took as a public-private partnership project from government of Rajasthan. Mm-hmm. So that was close to 800,000 crore rupees of turnover projects what we did. Very learning experience, I would say. Understood real estate from grassroots level before obviously became part of the No Broker journey, which helped me a lot while building No Broker.
Okay, so what are the 3 major things that you learned during this experience?
First, obviously, you need to be hands-on. I think so. The first thing which I followed today also, taking a boardroom decision is one part, but seeing the thing, how it gets executed on grassroots level is extremely important. Second, you cannot ignore legal and finance in India. So you need to understand the legal framework pretty well, and you need to be ready for surprises. Your business needs to be ready for surprises. So you need to be in that way very adaptable to various situations. And third is that's given. You need to be a people's man. You need to understand your team pretty well. You need to empathize with them. You need to work with them, and you need to understand what each one of gets on table when it comes to their strength areas. So these would be the 3 key takeaways for me. Yeah.
Great. You mentioned about the legal bit, because what we also offer our investors is when they invest through us, we have a company secretary come lawyer on board, and she kind of vets all the documentation, whether it's for fractional ownership companies or any other property matter. So coming back to your journey from there, how did you think about fractional ownership or getting into the holiday homes space?
It was very, very organic. While at No Broker, I saw demand for holiday homes increasing. So you can say the first factor could have been COVID, but then I realized that this is going to be a structural change when it comes to holiday homes. Reason being, I think the one thing which COVID taught us is that you need to value your life. Life is short. You need to give time to your friends, family, and unfortunately, cities like Mumbai, Bangalore, you have smaller homes. Obviously, Bangalore's are slightly better, but still, you stay in a real estate which is confined to a very smaller area. I think so people wanted that time off. They wanted to go spend time with their friends, family. So from there, the idea came. We need to solve for this problem. We need to see, can we give a holiday home to the Indian who are staying here? And one factual data when I deep dive was out of some 300 odd million families who are in India, only 200,000 people own a holiday home. So which is very interesting. Mm-hmm. More than 99.9% people in India do not own a holiday home. But when I spoke to a lot of people, I understood a lot of them aspire to own a holiday home. But they said, it doesn't add value because any good holiday home doesn't cost us less than, let's say, 1 crore or 2 crore rupees. So why do I park in a 1 or 2 crores when I know I'm going to use it only for 20 to 30 days in a year? So clearly identified there was a problem in hand. There's a use case where people aspire to own an asset class. Second, they didn't see value in owning that because the utilization of that asset is lesser. So then I thought, if we can solve for that problem, where we can add value for people, get ownership at a lesser cost, and solve for their limited usage. We are in it for a bigger game. And hence the idea of Alyf came in. When we'll talk later, you'll see I'll elaborate on that. But just fundamentally, two things we are doing at Alyf. One, making it commercially accessible by providing that asset at 1/10 of the cost. So a good 1 crore home is available at 10 lakh rupees with Alyf. And second, we take care of the property management hassles. Because if I use it only for 20, 30 days a year, my property is kept vacant. There is a huge operational cost to manage it, plus, operational hassle as well. So as Alyf, we solve for these two problems for all the smart owners whom we have on the platform.
And besides these two things that you've already mentioned, are there any other things that you're doing differently, or how is it then better than traditionally owning a second home? Because we know a lot of people who have a second home, and of course we've heard lots of stories about people in Lonavala where the caretaker is actually enjoying the home so if you could just tell us a little more about traditional home second home ownership versus what fractional or smart ownership is all about.
Traditional home ownership, so there are 3-4 differentiating factors. One is cost. A traditional home ownership, as I mentioned, starts from a 2 crore. A new age or a smarter way to own with Alyf, you can own it at, let's say, 10 lakh rupees. So you get the asset at a 1/10 cost. Now, the second thing is, in both the cases, be it the traditional way of owning it or the new age of owning it, you end up using it only for 20 to 30 days in a year. The only thing is, you get it at a 1/10 of cost. Still, if you want to park more money, you can always buy multiple assets of Alyf at various locations. Third is the property management. Though you can afford to own, let's say, a 2 crore property yourself, saying, I do not need to own at a fraction. The problem actually happens is, as you mentioned, a lot of people who own a holiday home, if you go and talk to them, they'll say the moment they reach their holiday home, they invest 50% of their time only to get the repair, maintenance, talking to the caretaker and getting the house ready for the stay to come in. A lot of people actually go a day before to ensure that everything is fine when their guests come in. Then what's the fun of owning a holiday home? If you need to do all the hassles which you are actually doing at your primary home, at your holiday home itself, the fun factor or the recreation factor is completely out of it. So as Alyf, we solve for that property management as well. The fourth problem is exit. If you go and talk to these people who own a holiday home, they'll say, we have just bought it. हमें पता ही नहीं अब इसको बेचना कैसे, and actually we don't care. That's the concern. The actual reason is selling a holiday home, considering the larger platforms or the brokers are not active in this market. So with Alyf, we take care of all three things. The entry, which happens at a 1/10 cost, the management, which we take care of it, and whenever any of a buyer is looking to sell their share, they come back on Alyf platform itself and we help them find the right buyer. So entry, usage and exit, everything end to end is taken care by us.
That's a great value add. But tell us, what are you guys charging?
There are 3 costs attached to all 3 journeys. First, when we sell the real estate, we charge the developer or a seller. So our first thing is we charge the seller. We do not charge buyer anything as of now. We want more people to come and enjoy this platform and, first get a taste of owning something fractionally when it comes to a holiday home. Second, on the property management part of it, on the rental side of it, we charge close to 25% of the rental which we generate from the property. Just to elaborate on the second point, typically the assets are owned by the co-owners, but we have an alternative model which allows you to earn rental income when no one is using the property. To manage that rental, to get the rental rental guest to come in, we charge 20% income which is generated. And on the third part of it, when we help you sell it at a premium, only if we help you sell it at a premium, we charge a 10% share in profit, which is 10% carry. So if someone has bought it at 10 lakh rupees, we help him sell at 12 lakh rupees. The 2 lakh profit which a user has made, we charge 10% of only that 2 lakh, which is 20,000 rupees. Now what happens, Raj, is the third factor gives a lot of comfort to the buyers who are buying in today, because they know that Alyf's profit also comes in when we help sell them at a premium. And trust me, Raj, we have seen in past also, although it's just a year for us. At Alyf, we do not sell a hardware. It's a mix of hardware and software coming together. It's the entire essence of property management with experiences, which helps the property to genuinely appreciate. So if the capital appreciation of real estate is happening by X percentage, we feel with Alyf it is always going to be a delta above X percentage because of the kind of software or the property management service which we offer it to our buyers.
And when you're saying 25% of the rental income, if the property is not rented out, in that case, there are no charges.
In that case, there is no charges. Although at Alyf, we have two models. One is our Alyf 1 model, where it is purely for all 8 owners to use it for themselves. Over there, we charge 10% as a property management fee. So whatever the cost is there, we charge a 10% as a property management fee. In a second model, which is suited for people whose primary intent to own this asset class is to generate rental income, over there we charge 25%. So if you will see, we cater to both kind of TG who comes on the platform. One TG who wants to buy probably a Lonavala for their own consumption, where we charge 10% of the cost. The second TG who wants to own something in Goa or a Kurg to create rental income for them, because they know they won't be using it for more than, let's say, 5 to 6 days in a year. Over there, we charge 25% of the rental income which gets generated out of the asset.
And in terms of the profit, share in the profit, you're not considering the total cost.
We are considering the total cost.
So let's say 10 lakhs is the cost of purchase.
Yeah.
And you're charging 10% as management fee.
Management fee is different. That is the annual maintenance cost.
Correct. Asset management fee.
Let's say.
So
yeah.
Are you also including
that in our asset management concept is very different. So you can say we only make money on property management when our buyers make rental income out of it. So it's a very standard rental income formula. Let's say a property generates 10 lakh rupees as a rental income on the gross. I'm talking about the gross income. 25% of that 10 lakh rupees comes to us, which is 0.5 lakh rupees. In that case, the property value would be close to 2 crores. So 2 crores, we take 2.5 lakh to manage the property. So roughly, if you'll see optically, our asset management cost is roughly 1% of the property value or the share value. Because I know where you are coming from. From the asset management side, our cost roughly is only 1% of the property management fee.
Right, because see, there'll be two use cases. Somebody who just wants to simply own it and somebody who's also looking at it from an investment perspective. And which is why then, how do you guys ensure that, the property prices that are being offered are equivalent or hopefully, lower than the market value? And is there some kind of benchmarking in terms of third-party documentation that you guys are offering?
Sure. So what we do is, so as you rightly mentioned, I think so for any real estate purchase, it's very important that customer gets a value for it. If the value is not there, if the right value is not there, and long-term your business would suffer. So we are quite cognizant of that fact. So what we do is there are certain benchmarks which we do. So firstly, we pick the right locality by doing a lot of macro level checks in terms of where the growth potential is higher, where we see rental income, capital appreciation, livability being there. Now within the locality, we pick a micro locality. So for example, I'll give you the best example is Goa. We identified North Goa is the best locality in terms of all these 2-3 factors. Within North Goa, let's say, then we identified Kalangur, Kandaluyam, these 2-3 belts being on the coastal where the high tourism still persists. We said that these are the great locality when it comes to creating rental income along with capital appreciation. Post that, the next step what we do is we do 2 levels of benchmarks. So first benchmark is the replacement theory, where we understand the land price, the construction cost, the builder margin, and we derive a per square feet cost. Parallelly, we do a competitive mapping which talks about what are the other competitors' pricing per square feet being there. And the third thing what we do is, finally, when we sit on a negotiating table with the developer, we ensure that we are able to purchase at least at a 5 to 8% lesser than the market price. Why a builder agrees to give us the best competitive price? Because we buy it in bulk. So as Alyf, we do not buy one villa or one apartment. We go ahead and buy the entire project as a whole. So a developer also doesn't mind passing on the best value because he sees that all the 6 villas are getting sold or all the 25 apartments are getting sold. So the economies of scale comes in there, and hence we are able to pass on that price to our users who comes in. And not only Raj, we stop there. When it comes to the fit out cost also, all our homes are fully furnished. So we ensure that we, kind of do the interior to best of the quality in the best time possible and in the best pricing possible. So the overall cost of the property and eventually the cost per share is completely under control.
And when you're talking about the developer, how does that dynamic work? Do you do some sort of an agreement with him? You make some sort of a deposit? How does that structure work?
We pay a deposit. We take an agreement to sell with the developer because we do not want two shops to be out there when it comes to buying and selling. So we control the entire asset ourselves, and the sales team, the marketing team, the pre-sales team, everything is ours. So we do a end-to-end contract. The only thing is we ensure we are working with the right developer. There are third-party checks when it comes to ensuring the right developer comes in terms of the developer quality, in terms of the project, the developer background. So all those checks and balances are at place when we pick the right project.
And do you guys prefer projects that are just about to be delivered, or you're even willing to go, much earlier? How does that work?
So typically as Alyf, we pick properties which are closer to completion, but soon we might launch a very interesting concept under construction, but still we are working on it in terms of contract, plus how do we secure or safeguard the investors, because under construction comes with a lot of checks and balances, as we know. So hence currently all the projects which are live on Alyf platform are either completed or are closer to completion. When I say closer to completion, max 6 months away from possession.
And you've also mentioned about, now to touch upon exit, what percentage of people do you currently see or foresee having to churn their properties and looking for an exit? And
so
how
currently,
many?
Raj, I think so for us, it's too early in the day. A majority of people have subscribed in the last 6 months. Plus, they're enjoying their asset. I think so. Where, Raj, we are positioned a bit differently compared to a lot of other fractional players in different industry. A lot of other asset classes, especially commercial warehousing, is more of an investment product. Where for people, it's an investment value. They might not even see a property. With us, it's slightly different. It's mix of an investment come a lifestyle product. So people, I would say, are still attached to the asset class. And I don't see people getting bored less than a year, 2 year. After a year, 2 year, we might ourselves will go to them and tell them, you have enjoyed a North Goa property. Why don't you pick something in South Goa and we'll help you make a profit in your North Goa property. So it's slightly different, the positioning. So I see people on an average would churn out their investment in anywhere between 18 to 24 months in our case.
So if somebody today wants to invest 1 crore, how would you suggest that they invest? Would you suggest that they take multiple properties, or you would suggest that, what would be the mix? Would it be a 50-50 or 25, 25, 25, 25?
So it actually depends on the kind of buyer, obviously there's no one answer to this question, because I've seen both kind of buyers. There are people who are very clear, we are only looking at villas. So in that case, I would suggest, probably picking 2 to 3 villa options with Alyf in various localities. There are few people who are ready to, diversify their investment. Then we might ask them to pick 15 lakh 2 shares and the balance 70 lakhs into spread across 2 shares again. So probably a mix of 4. The good thing with Alyf is they're able to track all their investments. They can book their scheduling, everything through the web app which we have. So they're able to see their investments, track their scheduling.
So what are the insights or learnings that have happened after you started Alyf, from interacting with customers, the way the journey has been? What are the insights that you've got after starting Alyf? Because when you start a business as an entrepreneur, you're thinking, acha, ye hoga, right? But, reality is different. So what are those insights?
So I think so fundamentally, we started on a different note altogether. So we thought of 1 crore per share would fly, and people in India would not look for rental return. If they get a good lifestyle product, they would be ready to own something at 1 crore. I think so one biggest learning for us is, you need to have options available. So though you have those people who invest a 50 lakh to 1 crore to own a share, but you also need to have something which is more massy, which is in an investment range of 10 to 15 lakhs, so that the larger audiences or the larger mass can subscribe or can buy that share. And that's the entire vision of Alyf today. We want the middle class janta to own this asset class. So I think so one was that learning that not only a 1 crore share, you need to focus on 10 to 20 lakh share. That's the ticket price, the first learning. And second learning was we got this hybrid model created, where we said that when the owners also do not use the property, we put the property on rental and the rental income starts getting generated. And hence, by virtue of it, we have recently launched our rental platform itself. So all the properties which are sold via Alyf are available on all OTA platforms for a normal user, right from an Airbnb to a booking.com to a Make My Trip. But now we are live with our own platform, which is known as Stay Alyf. So Alyf takes care of the buy and sell, where you can buy in fractions. And once the property is sold, the properties goes live on Stay Alyf, where the properties for a normal user on a vacation rental or a 2-night, 3-night short-term rental basis is available for anyone to enjoy those property. So these are the two larger learnings for us.
Great. So basically, you are owning the entire customer journey right from the time he gets in, he enjoys the property, makes whatever rental income, and then even exit and then reinvesting it. So that's a great business model to have.
We want his portfolio of 3 generations to be managed by us. That's the entire thing. Because Raj, optically, aap dekho na, one thing which is fundamentally very clear, Airbnbs, companies like Airbnb, all these vacation rental are now growing at 100 to 120% year on year, which clearly depicts one feature: the way Indians enjoy their vacation has changed. They want to stay in a villa. They want to have their own space. They want freedom. And this is how you and I today go out and vacation in these places. So obviously now you require supply to cater to this kind of demand. कहाँ से लाओगे आप supply? या तो एक बहुत बड़ा fund आके 1,000-2,000 crore invest कर दे and the supply comes, or else we create a model like this where co-ownership becomes the new age thing, and we people own this asset for rental income or for enjoying this asset with their friends and family. So I fundamentally believe we're doing the right thing, and this is just the start. We haven't even scratched the surface when it comes to these holiday home destinations.
Absolutely, you're right about the private space also. Again, given the fact that I myself or our contemporaries now, when you have kids and all of that, it becomes even more important to have some sort of a serviced space, because kids can get hungry anytime, and you don't want to keep ordering and all of that. You want that flexibility, right? So absolutely, there's a no-brainer in terms of that these are the kind of homes or spaces that people definitely want to use up. But with that, tell us, the SEBI regulation is out for fractional ownership. What are your views on that? Will this get considered under the SEBI regulation? What happens if it does? What happens if it doesn't?
So, Raj, very interesting question. And all of us are, thinking of ways to how do we evolve with SEBI regulations coming in. The good thing is, as Alyf, we are prepared either ways. If SEBI decides that holiday home as a category should not be considered under the gamut of MSME REIT, we are good to go. We'll keep on building and we'll keep on doing what we're doing right now. But at the same time, we have kept ourselves very much prepared. Once these regulations come in, how do we change or evolve the business model in itself? Just to give you one instance, today each apartment is owned under one LLP. So let's say there are 20 apartments, we have 20 LLPs. If tomorrow SEBI regulations come in, we buy all 20 apartments into one SPV itself, which gets launched as a scheme in the exchange. So I think that's the fundamental point. Other than that, so people want to go, to a regulated model rather than non-regulated model. But, our current contracts, our current legal way of working is vetted by the top consultants and lawyers. Once the SEBI regulations come in, and what it does to the industry, it takes it to a 20x number, according to me, from where we are today.
Anything and everything that SEBI has regulated, the market then kind of just goes up. Like you're saying 20x, but it could definitely be 50x or even 100x. The need for holiday homes is very, very high. And if it's available at a fractional of the cost, it makes a lot of sense. You spoke about LLP structure. You are a lawyer yourself, so that's great. If you could explain to our viewers LLP versus private limited, because most of the other fractional ownership companies use a private limited company.
Okay. Fundamentally, we checked in terms of what is the essence of creating an SPV into this structure. So you want, let's say, 8 to 10 people to come together or to form an entity, and eventually this entity owns the asset. The property is getting completely sold out. Now, in our case, the value of these properties is not a 50 or 100 crore. It could be anywhere between 1 to 5 crore. So in terms of the cost to manage the entity, because buyers, co-owners are jointly paying it. So we vetted both the models. I did in terms of compliances, costs to manage, and what we're doing with this entity and LLP fits in well. The second point for us was the taxation. When a private limited company, there are double taxation. So once the private limited company gets taxed in its individual books, post that when the the profits are distributed, again the tax come on an individual's taxation. In an LLP, it's just taxed under LLP, and then a tax-free income is distributed between all the co-owners. So from the taxation optimization perspective, fractional people, as you rightly mentioned, they have a hybrid in terms of NCDs along with this thing. There's a fixed rental. So I think so the model is way different. For us, an LLP suits extremely well.
So in fractional commercial spaces, there is debt component, which is why the income is also coming as interest income.
Exactly.
And therefore, it kind of lends itself.
If I own something in fraction, for the first time, I would want to hear that word equity. I own these many shares or equity into the company. So I think so that also gives a lot of comfort to our buyers who are coming in, because they own the equity into the LLP structure or the shares into the LLP structure. So that's one. We do 2 contracts just to elaborate on the legal framework. The first contract is incorporating that LLP, where 8 people come and create that LLP structure. Post that LLP does a sale deed to own the property. And the third contract which happens is there is a property management agreement which happens between Alyf and that LLP to manage the property.
And in the LLP structure, who is the designated partner?
Team members of Alyf. Otherwise, it becomes a huge hassle for the 8 owners who would become the designated partner, etc. So everything day-to-day operations are managed by Alyf, both on the side or within the property as well as contractual.
Okay. And is there any use case where all the investors would have to be, asked for taken approval of for any decision?
So obviously there are few decisions, let's say selling the entire property or asking Alyf to leave the property management part where the consent is required of all 8. So all those fundamentally, or let's say a big property damage has happened and structural change needs to be done. So I think so there are 2-3 factors which are built into the LLP contract where I would say the consent of all 8 partners are required. Otherwise, entire day-to-day property management is done by the designated partners itself.
How does one select a good asset manager?
See, the background matters according to past background, what that asset manager has done. The kind of properties which that asset management has already launched on their platform. Third, very important part is the property management on ground. It cannot be done on an intuitive basis. There needs to be strong SOPs at place. Again, because this is the service industry, what we are talking about. So Raj, we would want to highlight 2 major partnerships, what we have done. So on the property management side, which makes Alyf as a very strong contender when it comes to the entire asset manager. So we have partnered with Embassy Group. Those of you who are not aware, they are one of the largest developers of the country. They run one of the largest property management company known as ESPL. So ESPL manages the entire property on ground for Alyf. So when it comes to cleaning, gardening, housekeeping, all those things are managed by Embassy Group. So you are on the right hands when you are checking into one of the Alyf property. Second, for our signature class, which would be our properties, which would be above 10 to 12 crore asset. Whenever we launch it, which is planned for early next year, we have partnered with Amma Stays. So all those properties on ground would be managed by Amma Stays, provided and Alyf jointly approves of that asset.
If you were in the market to select a property as a buyer or as an investor, what is it that you would look at?
There are certain fundamental points which I think so works extremely well in real estate. At a macro level, it's very important. And I'm considering it's not for your own consumption. In the first home for your own consumption, there are certain different metrics which one follows. When it comes to an investment, could be anywhere. There are certain different metrics. First, the objective needs to be clear, why you are even buying a property. And then you identify the right locality, right micro locality. Then you need to choose the right intermediary. Because if you're going via an intermediary, your 70 to 80% problem can be solved if you have with the right intermediary, because the market changes every day. There are a lot of small dynamics which comes into play. And then with that intermediary, you look into the kind of developer which you're buying in. Then you check what kind of projects that developer has delivered in past. What are the property management services which are being offered, and who are the people who are actually going to give it on ground. And the last point is exit. If tomorrow you want to sell, whether that real estate asset class has the potential so that it gets liquidated when you require the fund. So I think so All these 3-4 points are extremely important while picking or choosing the right property.
Okay, and when we refer this from a second home perspective, how does that
Just
change
come
the
to us. Just come to us.
besides coming to you?
Second home is a bit tricky, Raj, because the intermediary picture gets washed away to a larger extent. Unless you're buying a 10 crore plus asset, then you have a lot of larger intermediaries, IPCs, etc., who helps you do that. So for me, if you're buying into a holiday home, only hardware doesn't make a difference. It's very important that the property management and experiences need to be very, very sorted, right from your pick and drop to your experiences like your barbecue party to doing a live singer to doing anything for your kid's birthday party. Everything is taken care by Alyf. So choose the right operator, because remember, holiday homes you haven't bought to own that real estate only. It is also very important to enjoy that asset class, and you can only enjoy if you have the right partner to do it.
These services, I'm assuming you've tied up with the right kind of vendors. All you have to do is talk to your team and tell them that this is what we are planning, and they'll organize it.
So I think so. Those right partnerships on an aggregation model, it actually stands out for Alyf, is what I've seen in past. People really enjoy these experiences at our properties.
So are there any kind of additional experiences? Because ultimately, like you said, you also see Airbnb and everybody getting into experiences, aware of this site that allows you to, they vet local people who can help you get experiences, and obviously you can go book them, etc. So does Alyf also offer that kind of a thing apart from the fact that...
So on our app, we have a feature in itself which is known as our on-demand experiences. In fact, there is a relationship manager who gets appointed, who speaks to you. So our reservation team ensures that those 2 nights and 3 nights of your stay are extremely well planned and it's predictable. And the good thing is, let's say you're sending a guest to your property to enjoy. Imagine he's being pampered all the way. It, I think, so changes a lot of things for people, and I feel life is here to enjoy. With Alyf, we give that asset class along with great software in terms of property management, and our team is fully dedicated to that cause. So which takes care of this thing, and somewhere, it also gives me a satisfaction end of the day, because, we're able to get a lot of people employed on that grassroots level. So I know, let's say if, Lonavala, you have those Maggie's sellers, at Tiger Point, etc. We have partnered with a few of them. So they know they get predictability as far as the business is concerned. And we have just started here.
Yeah, that's true. And, travel and tourism is something that, on the uptick, and it's not going to die down. It's only going to go up. But with the demand, supply is also going up. So you see that there is a lot of supply. I'd been to Goa last summer, apart from checking out your Siolim property, we could just generally see the amount of options that are coming in. So how do you see the supply side affecting the whole play? Because end of the day, there is a portion of your clients or investors who are in it for the rental income and also not just enjoying the property. So how do you foresee that playing out? Because, there is just tremendous amount of supply of holiday homes coming up.
Yeah, but Raj, I'll tell you, at a macro level, Goa today has close to 150,000 rooms, hotel and all these villa vacations, apartments, all combined. One of the report of FICCI talks about it in detail, with the Mopa airport coming in, government promoting a lot of MICE businesses, marriages shifting to Goa, hotels are at 80% higher fares. I personally feel, as per that report, Goa requires in the next 3 years close to 300,000 rooms. So if a supply is of good quality, I think you find a buyer. Go to any cafe in Goa and talk about a real estate. You'll see 2 people raising their hands and saying, we want to own one. So I think so. The demand is here to stay. I do not want to get into that data of looking at China, what numbers which they do. Enough is spoken on those numbers. Look at US, what they do. In India, real estate ownership has just started. People have now realized it makes a lot of sense to own a real estate property. And one thing which is extremely important, which I would want to highlight with Alyf, I know people who have started buying with us as their first real estate investment. So they stay at a rental property, but they are saying here at a 10 lakh rupees, we cannot own anything anywhere else. So at least we get that opportunity to own a first real estate property with a starting investment of 10 lakh rupees. So I think so, which again gives us a lot of huge validation of what we are building at Alyf.
Now that you've mentioned that a lot of people are seeking to buy your first property, I'm going to take a step back and ask you, again, since you're also into real estate, between a buying a home, because the way a lot of people, I'm assuming, think about this, I've spoken to investors, is that I want to have my own home, I'm going to have my own office, and then I'm going to look at a second home, right? Now, what are your thoughts? Do you think one should buy a home and then look at other investments like a holiday home, or you think it's okay to rent and stay alive?
With no biasness to Alyf's model, I'll just say our generation above us, my father, probably my grandfather, everyone was very clear about the conventional way of growing in life. You buy a home, you buy a car, or probably you buy an office or a shop to yourself, and you're settled in life. It's very practical. India is a younger audience when it comes to the mindset. Millennials are there. They think everything for them today is an Excel number. So if you fundamentally look at a primary residential comes at a 2% cost to you. With an Alyf property or any other holiday home or a commercial fraction, you can make anywhere between 4 to 6% or a 4 to 8% as a rental income. I'm saying capital appreciation again plays a huge role, because if I'm buying something in a Bandra in Bombay, vis-a-vis if I'm buying something, let's say in a Goa, in Morjim, the capital appreciation chances are way different to both these locality combined. So this is a practical mindset. If I'm not getting under my peer pressure, I would say hands-on buying an alternate real estate asset class today makes a lot of sense rather than owning a primary real estate. It's a traditional or a conventional mindset. You will see someone owning a first home first. I haven't bought a first home ever in my life. And my dad questions it. But I've invested into a lot of alternate asset classes, be it real estate or other things, because the mindset is different in your mindset that decides of how you want to invest your funds.
So therefore, should Alyf be seen as an investment product or a end use?
So, that's why we have kept two models. So our one model is an investment model. Our other model is a self-consumption model. So we have something to be offered to both, because
so what are the opportunities that you see now in the next, year and a half?
We are extremely bullish. We worked very hard on supply. One of the key things what we have seen is getting the right supply, considering with all the checks and balances of Alyf. Stringent benchmarks was very difficult for us. We took 2-3 months to do few right launches. Recently, we have launched assets worth 100 crores. So we have launched 2 larger projects in Goa, one in Alibag. So we are extremely bullish for next 12 months at least when it comes to this business model. When I said 12 months, this is because I feel there is not enough good supply in the market, which is coming closer to completion. So if the right asset is there on the platform, on anyone's platform, I think so there is a taker for the same.
Is there an international equivalent of what you guys are doing, that those guys have done the same thing as you guys?
The answer is yes and no, Raj. Reason being, there are obviously fractional ownership in the US and UK has been there for quite some time. The models are slightly different because either they do only lifestyle, which is property which could be, let's say, 4 million, 5 million property with a 500,000 share price, which is a place like Picasso or Kokomos of the world. Then you have an arrived homes, which is a pure investment where you can invest at a $200. So I think so because of regulations in India, we cannot have that luxury where investment can start at 1 lakh, 2 lakh rupees. So our model is a mix of both. I always tell all my buyers and viewers out here, we have created a niche or a hybrid model considering the Indian mindset. You require, again, quoting the same example in Aloo Tikki in India, if you want to build business here. So we really wanted to understand the consumer, and hence we have evolved and created this model where we can cater at a 10 lakh rupees. A person can make a 5 to 6% rental yield, plus he enjoys the property, plus he gets a capital appreciation. So hence at Alyf, we always say you own it, you enjoy the property, and you own out of it. So own, enjoy, own is our motto.
Right. And just talking about technology, do you think that tokenization is a possibility? And if so, how and how do you think it's going to impact, the entire customer journey?
I think it's too early in the day, to be very honest. Tokenization is definitely the future, but could be slightly early. There are already a lot of legal complications in India, owning something with unknown people, but with time, that's the future. There are so many conventional hassles of paperwork otherwise involved. All those things can only be streamlined when there would be a smart age, newer age, or smarter way to do contracting, or smarter way to transfer your share, which is only possible with tokenization. But having said that, I think so we slightly early in the day when it comes to Indian mindset.
Okay, with that, I am actually done with all my questions. What is your opinion on first time investors in this sort of a format? What are the things that they should keep in mind, and what is the ideal kind of investment for them?
This is again, Raj, one of the learning which, with time got evolved, learning came in, where we realized ki there are people who are actually coming on the platform to buy their first, second home, I would say. The reason being they stay at a rental premises, probably 3 to 4 years into, let's say, an IT job, making anywhere close to 15 to 18 lakh rupees or 15 to 20 as an annual income. Great validation for us, because then it gives them a comfort level that they are going to a structured platform where their hard-earned money is being managed by someone who's professional. Plus, with that mindset, they get to use a property, they get to make rental income out of that investment, plus the capital appreciation comes to them. Otherwise, any conventional real estate doesn't come less than a 50 to 80 lakh rupees, be it an apartment itself. So with Alyf, you get an opportunity to actually own your first, second home at an investment of as low as 10 lakh rupees.
So now, if you could tell us briefly about any specific products that are ongoing and the current flavor of the season with Alyf.
So yeah, I can talk about it all this while. So any which ways, I think so. 2, 3 wonderful opportunities which are live on the platform. One is a beautiful project known as Prana. We have chosen that project because we got a lot of demand from people who come in North Goa, but they want to stay away from the hustle and bustle. So this is in a beautiful, serene location of Sakur, surrounded by mountains all over. 30 apartments and 10 villas, almost completed. OC has come, finishes and going on. Next 3 months, the possession would be given. The investment over there starts at as low as 12 lakh rupees. Our second project is at Kandolim, known as Brissa. The investment starts at 12.5 lakhs. So this caters to buyers who are looking at rental income, want to be closer to the hustle bustle. So these are the two assets which are live in Goa right now. And then we are doing a beautiful project in Alibag at an investment of 11 lakh rupees. Typically, Alibag is known for high-end villas of 8 crores, 10 crores. With Alyf, you can own something in Alibag as low as 11 lakh rupees, 15 to 20 minutes from Jetty. A beautiful project completed. Fit outs would be done in next 30 days itself. So these are the 3 live opportunities which are there between Goa and Alibag. And then we have a villa opportunity live in Lonavala. This is at Tungarali, ready to move in villas, fully furnished villas. So this is the opportunity which is live in Lonavala. So these are the ongoing 4 opportunities which you can see on a live platform. And all your viewers can take advantage of the same.
So get in touch with us to invest in any of Alyf's properties, and we'll be happy to guide you and get you the right kind of property. So with that, Saurabh, thank you so much. Any closing remarks? Anything that you'd like to tell our viewers?
No, I think so. Good, yeah, Raj. Thanks for taking your time. Thank you, viewers, to watch Raj's show. I think so. He was very kind to ask us questions, which I think so educates overall everyone at large. Real estate fundamentally is on an upswing, according to me. Being in the industry for a few years, on a macro level, whether you invest with Alyf, anyone else, buy any other asset, I think so. I would strongly recommend to invest into real estate. The story in India has fundamentally all ticks right now when it comes to real estate investment. We are still, according to me, can look at huge valuation from here if the horizon is for 5 to 7 years. Which makes me highlight the second point. If anyone invests into real estate, do not invest with a 12 months mindset or a 24 months mindset. If you want to create wealth via your real estate investment, have a 5 to 7 years horizon. Then only you'll be able to create wealth. And or refer us to more people. That's about it.
Thank you so much. It was great chatting with you. We've been in real estate 30 years, my partner and I combined the experience. So what tends to happen is that when investors came in, like for example, Fractional, they would say, the ROI is great, should we invest? And we'd say, no, you have to look at the whole thing holistically, right? You can't just look at one thing and say that, yes, it's a good thing or not. And therefore, we've also come up with a rating system which kind of analyzes fractional ownership. And which is why we are also going to review a live product. So subscribe to our channel, stay tuned. We would love to, hear from you. I'm sure, this interview also could have been better. So please let me know what other questions I could have covered, which I may have not. And otherwise, in general, if there's anything else that you'd like us to do, please leave a comment and we'll be very happy to respond to you. So thank you, Saurabh, with that. Very
Thanks,
exciting.
Raj.
And see you soon.
Look forward, Raj. Thank you. All the best.